Hello gardening students, this is Mrs. Lewis, and if you go to our school then you know where I am. I am in the beloved fairy tree. So today I wanted to do an identification walk for all the plants that grow on and around the fairy tree. So let's see. The first is I'm going to identify this main tree. It is actually a tree that's underneath all of the vines. So this here is a tree. This is actually one of those Chinese tallow. And I know this for a couple of ways. One is its bark, and the second and most telling way are its leaves. So if you find a spot of the tree that is poking out into the sun, you can find its leaves. So this is actually those leaves that go to the main tree that holds up the vines. So you can see those pointy, rounded, kind of diamond shaped leaves. So that's a Chinese tallow. And then what makes up the majority of the canopy of our fairy tree are these. This is a Muscadine grapevine. And I can tell this is a muscadine is by, well, first the shape of its leaf, and also by the fuzzy underside. The fuzzy underside, so when I touch underneath here, it's kind of fuzzy and soft. Also, I know that it's a muscadine, that it's a grapevine, because I found some little grapes on it. Some little grapes that the birds will eat later on. And the grapes will probably stay pretty sour. So those are the first two. So we have Chinese tallow is the main trunk. We have the muscadine grapevine. Also the vines, you can see them inside the fairy tree. All of this here, this is a muscadine grapevine trunk right here. So we have the tree trunk, and we have the grapevine trunk. So all of that right there, that's all grapevines. Okay, another part of the fairy tree here is a mulberry tree that has survived. I know many of y'all have climbed this tiny little mulberry trunk. It is a fighter. So one way I can tell that it's a mulberry is based on its trunk. It has these kind of bumpy, almost pimply-like, pimples, I guess, I don't know, on the trunk. Other than that, it's pretty smooth bark. And then also by its, so it's connected by this trunk, it kind of branches out and then it goes down, and by its leaf shape. So it has these leaf shape that are the three forks. That's very indicative of a mulberry tree. And eventually, if it gets enough sun, it will grow actual berries, but because it's very much covered by the mulberry tree, it probably won't grow too many berries. Okay, so we've got Chinese tallow, muscadine, and mulberry. Let's come around here on the outside of the fairy tree and see what we can find over here. Okay, we've got another little tree growing right outside the fairy tree. And you can see it's kind of being taken over by the muscadine grapevine. You see here we have the muscadine, its tendrils are climbing onto this little branch here that is connected to this little tree. This tree is a sugar hackberry. You can tell by its triangular leaves, and eventually it will grow little tiny berries. Another plant growing outside. Here we have a little oak tree. That's funny. It's just a tiny little oak tree. If we let this grow, it'll get real big and beautiful. Okay. Here we have some other plants. So there's more oak trees. There's like 1, 2, 3 oak trees here. I can tell it's an oak tree by its oblong shaped leaves. They're still soft because they're brand new, but they'll harden out like these ones here at the bottom. And when it gets big enough, if it gets enough sun, it'll produce acorns. Let's see. Let's walk around the outside of our fairy tree. You can see it's growing some grapes. So here you can see more of the Chinese tallow leaves. Here's a plant that you'll see a lot around outside right now. This is called common hedge parsley. It has these feathery looking leaves. It also produces a a little bunch of white flowers. It almost looks like cilantro flowers, but the leaves are very different than cilantro. So that's common hedge parsley. Here we have something that almost looks like an iris. These are really common right now in the spring in Houston. This is, they're called Prairie Nymphs, and those are native to Texas, and they're really pretty. When they close up in the evening, and they look just like grass, but in the morning and throughout the afternoon, they're open up into these purple flowers. There we have another oak tree. Let's see if there's anything different around here. There was one more. Oh, here it is. Another vine. So this is a vine that has thorns on it. This one specifically doesn't have thorns, but you can see it has a round. This is round leaf briar. Round leaf briar. So it has a kind of a rounded heart-shaped leaf, and they do grow thorns and get into everything. Round leaf briar. Here's some more of that briar. This one looks a little different. You can see the thorns on this one here. Right there. Okay, so that's it for now. If you have any questions about the plants that we saw around the fairy tree, please email me. Also, if you know of any plants that we didn't see but you know live in the fairy tree, go ahead and email me about those too. Thank you for watching. Happy gardening.